So interesting what you were saying, though, about having loads of actors come in and not just be like, hi, I'm famous, actually get to do something, because the exact opposite happens in Ghosted,
which is Hi, I'm Famous, the movie. So this is an Apple TV Plus film. It's an action rom-com directed by Dexter Fletcher. It doesn't, to me, feel like this burning personal project in the same way that Rocketman or Sunshine Leith or
I've kind of forgotten completely until the very end credits that it was Dexter Fletcher, and then was my jaw dropped.
Yes, I mean, I think he's been hired for his expertise, shall we say. And then there was it's written by Chris McKenna, Rhett Reese and Eric Summers, who have collaborated on various Marvels. One of them wrote the Deadpool films, the other two wrote some Spider-Man and Avengers-y things.
Shocking that they worked on Marvel. I mean, what's the giveaway in this?
Well, we'll come to that. So it stars Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, and it's, as I say, it's an action rom-com, and it's in the tradition of that there was a kind of a mini movement of action rom-coms in the late noughties that kind of bounced off Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So you had Date Night, Bounty Hunter, I don't know if you remember any of these burning classics.
Yeah.
Night and Day, This Means War.
Yeah.
And then
this all comes screaming back to me.
And then the genre was actually very entertainingly revived last year in The Lost City with Channing Tatum, and you're looking at me like it wasn't entertaining.
No, sorry, I absolutely love this one. I
hadn't
quite put them together because that was so good.
Yes, so Channing Tatum
put them in the same
very,
genre.
Very funny, this kind of all-action escapade where there's romantic chemistry between the two leads as well. That really worked. This less so. So you have Chris Evans playing Cole, this organic farmer and market guy who has this chance encounter with Ana de Armas' Sadie one morning. And they have an argument at the stall that Chris Evans' character is minding. She kind of introduces herself as an art curator, but is very circumspect about her job beyond the fact that it entails her being away out of the country for a long stretch at a time. Anyway, because of their supposedly wonderful chemistry, Evans asks her out on a date and they have this very whirlwindy romance. And then she disappears, having ghosted him in the modern parlance.
I mean, this is about 6 hours later.
Yes.
I don't think that counts as ghosted.
And here's a clip in which we can hear
this meat cute.
Yes, exactly. Or this meat.
I was just wondering if you wanted to, go out sometime.
You want to get a coffee?
Now?
Yes, now.
I'll just hang on.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be.
Her name is Sadie.
Who wakes up next to you?
I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but I think she might be the one.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you.
She really is great. You'll see.
How great is she? Well, part of me wonders if you came out of I certainly came out of No Time to Die, the last Bond film, thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was an entire film in which Ana de Armas was this kind of high-kicking, all-action spy character?
Robbie got what you wanted.
The monkey's paw, the finger twitched, and here we are.
I mean, just from that clip alone, for a second, there's a bit where you sort of sensually see them making out under a thin sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone, I hate that trope in cinema because it gets very hot under a duvet or a sheet. And why would you cover yourself in a sheet when you're having sex with somebody?
Because there's a camera prowling around and you want to preserve your modesty, presumably.
And also, where is the kind of like the fierce passion? Like the whole idea that this is based on this immediate attraction goes completely out of the window with all this kind of really soft, tender, sensual kissing, which I don't know, it just didn't really ring true for me.
The film has a nerve to keep having these characters on the sidelines, keep telling this couple, oh my goodness, you have such great chemistry. Why don't you get a room? Like
it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a running joke.
And it's like, beg to differ.
It's a running joke about why don't you get a room, but the fact that they have to keep telling us that they have chemistry is everything you need to know about this movie.
Yes, exactly.
It's tell, don't show.
And yes, so anyway, as if it wasn't already very, very obvious from the setup, he then tries to track her down using this, I think it's like a tag on his asthma inhaler that she's gone away with. Yeah. He tracks her into London and then discovers her mid-mission where she is trying to take out Adrian Brody. Now, look, I saw this film less than 2 days ago. I have no idea. I can't remember what this mission was about. There was a sort of yellow cylinder involved at some point that lit up. What was the plot? I don't know.
What was it? I can't remember what it was called. It had a name.
Adrian Brody is kind of growling and walking around.
There was something to do with insects who are really dangerous insects and they're really they inflict a lot of pain.
Yes, but that wasn't the
That was just
wasn't
a
the
bit of
plot.
torture.
That was a torture thing. But there was a yellow cylinder, and then they went in a spinny restaurant at the end.
It's probably about weapons, right?
Yeah, he was an arms dealer, I think. But
Anyway,
it's kind of, the film is
beside the point, really.
It's aggressively unmemorable.
Yeah.
It's like daring you to kind of remember a single ounce of detail from it.
I tell you what, the ounce of detail that I do remember is Ana de Armas's wig, which was one of the most horrific things I've seen in a very long time.
Yes, so look, this is the great puzzle with this film. I'm not demanding some massively intricate Byzantine piece of plotting that's going to kind of keep my brain whirring for years. But what
Don't dumb down.
So it's kind of looking back to stuff like Notorious, To Catch a Thief, Charade, those kind of classic things. I mean, as the action rom-coms of the late noughties, early 2010s were also doing. What do you want from a film like that? Okay, you want famous hot stars with great chemistry, going to glamorous locations, wearing fantastic outfits, and trading zingy dialogue. Okay, this film has famous hot stars.
You got me. You totally got me then.
But what the puzzle is like, why are you not doing these things? Like the first big action scene takes place in some tunnels.
Yeah.
Just completely unglamorous. Not why we go to these films at all. The costumes. Now, look, I looked this up because I thought the costumes were so boring in this film. The costume designer is Marlene Stewart, who's a great costume designer and did the costumes on The Lost City. The costumes on The Lost City were hilarious.
They were great.
And they were perfect. And they were really kind of, characterful and funny and also glamorous and sexy and, all the things that they have to be in a film like this. So clearly the brief has been, make this as bland and grey as possible. Now, Chris Evans in these kind of charcoal jeans and grey t-shirt, what are we doing here? Why have we come to see Chris Evans wearing this stuff? Come on.
Wearing anything.
She even says...
Sorry.
Ana de Armas even says you should wear more suits. And I'm sitting there on the sofa going, blimmin' right, you should wear more suits. Why is he not in a suit for this whole thing?
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's kind of... But having groaned and grumbled at length, it is kind of in this vapid, empty, cud-chewing way, actually quite watchable. And the weird thing about it is it's plotted in a way that you can sort of watch any 5 minutes of it and you know exactly what's happened up to that point and you know exactly what's happened beyond that point, partly because the dialogue is constantly recapping the plot, but also because it's tapping into a certain obviousness that I think streamers quite like to make. So these Netflix things like Red Notice and The Grey Man, it's films to kind of check your emails to. You stick them on the background. You can kind of look up every so often and something fun, something bright is happening, or not bright in this case, but something shooty. And that's kind of sufficient. And so there was a joke. I don't know if you're old enough. You're probably not old enough to remember TV Go Home, which was the Charlie Brooker thing before he became this kind of mega famous TV writer. It was like a kind of a spoof of TV listings, but it had ads in it as well.
I don't know. That might not have been age. That might just be not really being into what Charlie Brooker did until I was in my late 20s. Okay,
fine. But he had one. There was this advert in it for these sort of frozen foods. Things called dead hoof and eyelid meat-like grills. And the idea was it was all this kind of rubbish throwaway stuff that had been squeezed together into the shape of a steak. And this is the dead hoof and eyelid meat-like grill of cinema.
Yeah.
And look, it fills a hole, but not very satisfyingly.
One of the most frustrating things, apart from the wig, which was dreadful, and I don't know why that is in existence, because her hair did not need to be anything other than her own hair, which would have been great, was the fact that they go to London and we meet a couple of Brits, Bern Gorman being a taxi driver.
Yes.
And then they immediately leave London, and it was just like a little kind of minute, and then they're at the Khyber Pass.
Yes, and in this completely generic bit of rubbly desert.
Yes, and it was just frustrating because locations are actually so important, as we learned in The Lost City. Locations are so important. And everything about this is just banal and pedestrian.
Yes.
Oh, including the cameos, by the way, of which there are plenty.
Oh, yes, and it's all...
I don't want to say who they are,
but they're
so pleased with themselves, aren't they?
It's the kind of Chris Evans LinkedIn circle, shall we say, from the Marvel days.
Incredibly annoying. Anyway, so that's Ghosted. Let us know what you think if you do end up watching this.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. While you're here, check out all the other videos because they're cool too, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with everything Kermode and Mayo's take, then check out our social channels.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I would. I have done.
Excellent.